Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Security Intelligence Keynote at Interconnect 2015. Please welcome General Manager Security, IBM, Brendan Hannigan.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for coming to our security keynote here. I'm extraordinarily impressed with the amount of people who are in this room at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm extremely nervous, though, that as I start speaking, half of you are going to leave as you realize you just come from the crap tables and you think you're coming to the buffet. It's not the buffet. So what is it that I'm going to talk about this morning? Whenever somebody gets up and talks about security, they end up spending, a lot of time, talking about things which make you nervous and talking about the problem in the marketplace. And I'm definitely going to do that too. So it's just part of our job description. I do want to talk then about the point of view that IBM has about the new ways of going about tackling this problem. That in the world where perimeter defenses are not doing the job, at the center of that, intelligence, analytics, and a new approach to defending is the way we will help solve that problem. And of course, IBM is a strong point of view here where we think we can uniquely help you with leading market number one position in places like security intelligence, database security, anti-malware, management consulting, managed services. I really want you to walk away feeling that IBM can really help solve that problem. And then we're going to bring some important IBM clients up to share their experiences. And so, of course, in this business and in this market, we read about it every day. I'm not even going to put up the headlines. That's the other way we often start these presentations. Target, Home Depot, JP Morgan Chase, Sony, the incredible challenges that these companies have faced, and a lot of the reason why you're in the room. Not just a question of them suffering loss, a question of actually existential damage to their businesses, their reputations, and careers of the executives and the other technical people or whoever it is that's running these organizations. And of course, it can create a lot of opportunity for folks selling security products in this business, and it can create a lot of opportunity for you in the room as you try to go get budget for your projects. But in reality, as I've said to our team when we had them together a few days ago, this really points to a very seriousness of problem and a seriousness of a need for us to do something differently in terms of how we're helping our important customers around the world solve this problem. It is a very significant challenge when we have customers and companies around the world struggling with this sort of a challenge. And why is this? What has happened? Of course, in the past, if you go to my local bank in Newton, Massachusetts, and you try to rob that today, well, firstly, you'd probably have a problem getting to it because it's under 6 feet of snow. But after that, you wouldn't find any money in the bank. You'd find some marketing tchotchkes. The biggest heist in United States history was in the banking world was a $32 million heist in the 1970s. And now financial institutions are seeing that much, and individual financial institutions are seeing that every day of the week, or every year, once a year. And so what's changed is there's a fundamental shift in the nature of how crime is occurring in this world. In the past, somebody would knock you over the head with a billy club and run away, with your wallet or whatever. I remember as a kid, an angelic little boy riding my bike to school, waving to a couple of guys, as I'm going through a little pathway, and they just run over to me, heave me off my bike, and ride off on it, right? The poor guys, they're knuckleheads. They should have robbed my math book, because then they could have, a few years later, spent some time and robbed 60 million credit card records. Then they could have sold them online with the specific zip codes that those credit cards are associated with it, because of course those zip codes are more likely to be successful. So the shift in crime is occurring is not just a move online to where crime is, The problem is one of immense scale, where crimes now can be committed at a scale that's not possible before. And we're witnessing at this time some of the most significant theft of intellectual property and theft of financial information and assets than we've ever seen in history for a time like this. Of course, sophistication is increasing. You see specific companies being targeted. They go through your job advertisements to understand what technology you have in place. They understand where your employees are through LinkedIn. They fish your employees, and then they craft attacks against you. And we've known that for a while. But I think what you have to realize as well is this is not some guy sitting in his boxer shorts, with Gatorade and Cheetos coming after your organization. These are organized crime rings. One of the well-known heists from just about a year and a half ago, of course, was a sophisticated attack against a financial institution in the Middle East. Debit cards, the limits, the extraction limits from the accounts was changed so that there was an unlimited extraction amount. They organized and got mules all around the world, gave them the debit cards, and the mules went running off, just taking money out of ATM machines all over the world. Tens of millions of dollars extracted. Really, really organized. Some of the dumb guys took pictures of themselves and they got caught, but you can be assured the crime boss was just fine. That's what's happening. This is not just some, a set of guys who are targeting an organization. These are companies. They have leaders. They have a strategy. They have a strategy against a particular business. They go after a particular organization. They go after employees. Then when they're successful, they look at who was next on the list. They go after that next list. If they have success in an industry, naturally, they'll go right after that industry next. And of course, the other change in paradigm is the notion that this is, individually crafted, targeted attacks against a company. Of course, that's not the case. These attackers can purchase attack platforms for $1,000. That's the bronze version. For a few $1,000 more, they can get the silver version. And then, of course, they can get the gold version. Money-back guarantees if they're not successful at exploiting it. And, of course, it's all purchased with stolen credit cards. Then they can launch intelligence platforms like this to monitor the effect of the attacks and see how it's going. Why is this alarming? Of course it's alarming. It's mechanized. You can put the power and the efficiency of the commoditized versions of attacks into a platform, enhance the platform with rev levels, and then you can go after whatever your target is. And then, of course, to wrap it up, is the incredible collaboration that's occurring between these criminals. And this is probably the most alarming part of what's happening. This, again, in the history in long history, it's very hard for bad people to collaborate with each other. We can all go to the gym or go to church or whatever. For the most part, bad people get to collaborate with each other in jails. Google indexes the internet, but it's probably less than 20% of it in total. The rest is hidden behind authentication, authenticated websites like our corporate websites and your corporate websites. And then, of course, the rest of it is a dark web hidden behind the Onion browser and the Tor browser and Onion routing protocols, where people can collaborate, they can sell illicit goods, and they can sell malware and exchange their techniques. And this is what our companies are facing every day of the week. In terms of what that means for us, it means that while there may not be an attack that's going on right now in your organization, there's very likely an attack going on somewhere in your industry. We had this experience recently with a financial institution where, again, their environment was pretty stable until a particular weekend. Then they got hit with extraordinarily advanced malware, targeting their clients, extracting money, robbing money very efficiently over a number of days, and that continued for a number of weeks. Why did that happen then? Maybe it was because some of their employees' information got disclosed in a list from some other company. Maybe they were just next on the list. But they eventually were on the list. And so if you see what's happened in our business across industries, when a particular company is breached or when there's a particular type of attack that goes on, it's not just a question of, wow, I'm lucky it didn't hit me. The reality is, if you think behind that, there's sophistication, there's technology, there's incredibly skilled people, and there's collaboration and a strategy, then we have to learn from each and every one of these things that's happened. And we're seeing this happen repeatedly. Of course, in our environment, we're collecting data from our managed services clients, of which we've got thousands around the world. We're collecting data through X-Force research, which we're collecting and aggregating data from our customers around the world. And then, of course, in the case of our Trusteer business, we're helping protect about 100 million banking clients around the world. And what we see, obviously, is a big increase in the number and extent of breaches that are occurring every year. And the nature of the breaches, unfortunately, is leveraging techniques which we've known have been challenged for quite some time. And some of you will have heard us talk about this before. Cross-site scripting vulnerabilities, SQL injection vulnerabilities. Some of these techniques are advanced in terms of how to get a piece of malware placed within an organization. They're not that advanced in terms of what can happen once inside an organization. Getting access to a user ID, getting access to an application through vulnerabilities, which in many cases are wide open. So we think, and what I want to talk about now is, how do we think about this problem going forward? And what are the new types of approaches which we can help adopt together between vendors and users and then collectively in terms of how we approach the problem. Firstly, I think what I'd like to talk about is sort of myths that can occur that can distract us from what's important in terms of solving the problem. First and foremost, the assumption that our companies are not infected. Of course they are. I think at this point in time, without a shadow of a doubt, we realize that the traditional approaches of endpoint protection, of firewall protection, and even the enhancements to those firewall protections, the attackers are relentlessly figuring out ways to get past. The notion that we can basically capture a known set of threats and start matching against those threats, and that is going to help protect us in a world where we're up against that type of a threat, is just clearly not being effective and hasn't been effective. And the problem when these traditional defenses are bypassed is, of course, what's inside does not have the same level of protection that the perimeter has had. And then, of course, we get into some of the big challenges which we've had. And this actually extends itself, whether it is a firewall, even all the techniques that are going on right now to try and evade sandboxes, waiting for mouse movements, waiting for other types of communication. This is the level of sophistication which is occurring. So our belief is the critical need to infuse intelligence and analytics, behavioral controls at each and every element of our infrastructures. At the network level, to understand network activity, collection of all information coming in and from databases, the aggregation of the data, and the application of analytics to look for unusual activities, an unusual outbound connection at 4 o'clock in the morning, an unusual connection from a server to a critical asset that has never been communicated with before. It is the collection of intelligence and analytics that allows us to identify the beginnings of activity, which can then be prevented, which will then eventually prevent loss. The same is true as protection of endpoint technologies, the application of the same types of techniques. Behavioral controls, not just looking for a particular type of malware, but looking and identifying the techniques that are applied and used by malware to install or exfiltrate data from the particular endpoint. And then last, of course, is on our data itself, the application of intelligence and analytics on the usage of the activity within a data down to the field level of database, and the application of intelligence across identities and the use of those identities in an environment. So behavioral controls, analytics, and then ultimately the ability to take and share global threat intelligence between the various different controls which we will have across an organization. In our world, this is infused across every single element of the infrastructure which we're trying to protect. In IBM, we call it the threat protection system. It's not just at the perimeter. So for example, in our world, we actually have a technology which we're now bringing to our clients called Trusteer Apex. It's leveraging intelligence from around the world, gathering the indicators of compromise from all the various different clients which we are seeing, monitoring endpoints for behaviors, and looking for everything from how memory is being used to how Java is performing, to look for indicators of malware being installed on a particular endpoint. That's an example of a new type of technology deployable at an endpoint. The other aspect is gathering intelligence about activity so that you can understand and apply that activity to your business and how your business is operating. Critical assets, unusual communications, and then finally having the ability with services to understand when something goes wrong, what's happening from a forensics perspective, how can I apply the knowledge that we have from the external world to actually understand what's happening in your environment right now. The other thing is, when you consider the problems that we're facing and the collaboration of our criminals, for all of us, there's no way we can do this alone. The skills are not available in the marketplace, and clearly the sophistication of the folks coming after us when they are collaborating poses a real challenge for an individual IT person, for example, sitting in Kansas trying to protect against an organized crime ring which has just decided to go after their particular organization. What we call this is the need for a collective defense. And a collective defense has many different components to it. First and foremost, at the foundation of a collective defense is incredible data collected from around the world to understand the nature of the threat that's coming against us. A categorization of the information threatening locations, an understanding of where botnet control channels are, an understanding based on knowledge of managing other environments of what they're seeing, for example, from data that's been gathered from an MSS perspective, the collection of that data so that it can automatically be fed across and into all the products and the solutions and shared with the practitioners that are in our client organization. So the foundation of a collective defense is threat sharing, is threat data. The second foundation for it is an ability for you to create a community of interest between you and your clients, between you and other folks in your industry or other people that you trust. If we have incredible knowledge about what's happening in the world, and then you have an intelligence infrastructure across your environment, how can we share that information, and how can you share your knowledge in an automated way with the other folks that you trust in your business so that you can take action? This is collaboration on a global scale between you, the people you trust, the vendors you trust, based on a solid understanding of data of what's happening in the world. And so actually IBM is launching an IBM X-Force Exchange. This brings together some really unique components which we think will be a game changer going forward in terms of how it is we approach solving this problem. Aggregation of all the knowledge that we have in the world, available to be delivered across all of the solutions we have in the world, including other vendor solutions. Aggregation of all the human knowledge which we have from our managed services teams, managing thousands of people around the world, and the ability for them to apply their knowledge to the data so that that delivers value. Extraction of data from the security intelligence and the collection elements within an enterprise can be fed into an exchange like this. And then the ability of customers to create communities of interest so that you can exchange information in an automated fashion. This is foundational going forward, and the unique parts of it is not just data, but the application of human intelligence and the ability for you to create communities of interest so you can collaborate within your industry and companies to help solve the problem. Let me give you an example of what we would call collective defense. We actually have, as part of our offerings, a technology called Trusteer, which is a family of solutions to help protect against financial malware and to help against malware that's targeting enterprises. And there's 4 key elements to the solution. Number 1, endpoint protection technology that helps actually monitor for unusual activity, which could be malware that's trying to target a particular endpoint. The second thing which it does is it actually has technology which can monitor on the server side, looking for activities of malware that are trying to attack a particular application, for example, a banking application. The beautiful part of it, though, is it's all connected on a cloud so that as information is learned, that information is shared with all of the various different components in the system. And then the last piece of it is, if something is trying to bypass the system, if there's a new piece of malware, which we see all the time, a unique piece of malware in Brazil, a unique piece of malware in Japan, the Trusteer system will basically notify, and now human beings, some of the best researchers in the entire planet, get involved. And guess what? They're facing and combating these types of threats every day of the week, and they're then available to help that particular customer at this point in time, because it may be the first time that they've faced this particular threat. That is a multi-layered collective defense. Incredible technology, automated sharing of information leveraging the cloud, and then at the right moment when things are really problematic, the ability for incredibly skilled people to come in and help stop the problem. That is the example of the model going forward. We, of course, also do this across the board in terms of how we will want to help clients from a managed services perspective, in terms of everything from building a security operations center, deploying skills around a security intelligence solution like QRadar, but it goes beyond that. For any of you trying to solve the problem, you have to know where you sit within your industry. You have to know where you sit relative to best practices for a particular domain, for example, in the area of identity and access management, for example, in the area of data security, in the area of advanced threats. And so we actually have the skills to be able to bring and deploy these assessment services to help you understand at any point in time where you are on this journey. To build a practice for you so that you understand in each and every one of the domains, from identity and access management, data controls, advanced threat protection, where you are and what steps you need to take to get to the next stage. Deploying people then to help you build these solutions, and then, of course, a critical component now, and we believe strategically going forward, adding people to help manage, deploy, or respond to things when something is going wrong. A blend of technology, data, cloud delivery, and then human beings who can go in and deliver the value on top of it. This is a really important part of solutions going forward. It's always been a part of it, but I think increasingly this is foundational to how it is we help you deliver an outcome in the area of security. The other aspect of security, of course, is I was with just a customer yesterday, and he talked about the walls and the moats which he built around the infrastructure. And so the question is, are we really investing wisely in terms of where it is we're applying money to protect against a particular type of threat? And I think we see repeatedly, especially as we go around the world, that it is absolutely not always the case, and in many times is not the case at all. What we propose is an absolute relentless and maniacal focus on a risk-based approach to security. Our maniacal focus on the assets which are more critical to your business. A maniacal focus on the application of security to your business problems. And of course, this is what your boards are asking for. This is what the most senior executives in your organizations are now asking for you every day of the week. They may not fully understand the most critical, the nuances associated with the latest piece of malware, and they may not even fully understand the application and the types of technologies that can help them stop that malware, but they really do understand the critical assets in their business, and they really do understand the implications if something happens to those critical assets. The best things that we can do as technology folks, as business executives, is to really understand our business and understand how our technology controls and security controls are applied to those business assets. And we see again and again, this is from a Ponemon study that was done last year, I believe, the risk that you perceive in your environment exists at the application and data layer. The risk you perceive at the network layer is less, but your investments, of course, are heavily skewed towards the network layer and towards our traditional perimeters. And we see this all of the time. We see companies in the financial services industry which have got very advanced risk-based programs for how they understand what their assets are and how they protect those assets. And then when we go outside North America and we go outside those industries, the skills and the risk-based approach to security really starts to dissipate. We see the application of application security controls across other industries to be extraordinarily low. And we believe ultimately this is a critical element of how it is we adopt a risk-based approach. Understanding your crown. This is actually something that we try to offer from a soup to nuts perspective. Understanding how it is and where are your crown jewels in your organization. Delivering an assessment for you and a roadmap for how you protect those crown jewels. We've got people and technology to help you do that. And then, of course, putting in the controls and monitoring those controls on an ongoing basis for those crown jewels. And what are these things? It's incredible application security controls, privileged identity management controls, database controls and data monitoring controls with technologies like Guardium, masking controls. It's surrounding your crown jewels with a moat of intelligence, not a moat of blocking infrastructure. And it's doing the incredible hard work of finding where these critical assets are and coming up with a risk-based approach to stop them. The last thought we have as well in the area of security is, of course, unlike in other areas when a new innovation can come along and folks can pause their purchases of a particular technology and start investing more in the innovation. In the world of security, that's not possible for us. We have to protect the old, and we also have to protect the new, and we have to stitch them together. But what we believe, especially when it comes to cloud and mobile, is that while many people in the room get nervous about the security implications of these technologies, in reality, they are a spectacular opportunity. there is spectacular opportunity to reinvent how it is we're doing security. And that is what we are breathing into everything we try to do in this business to help you. Not just to help you protect cloud and mobile, but in fact, to take a real look at how it is we're doing security, so we reinvent leveraging cloud and mobile, what it is and how it is we can protect your environments. Cloud provides the opportunity to deliver incredible concentrated protections around a set of assets. Concentrated investments, multi-layered, that many individual companies cannot make. Mobile provides the opportunity not just of a new way of accessing information, but all of the applications, how the applications are deployed, how they're managed, how access to those applications is provided. Everything is being redone. It's a do-over. In the existing infrastructure, we have a huge amount of legacy which we live with every day of the week. In the mobile world, so much of it is new. Yes, we're connecting in with legacy systems, but brand new applications are being delivered and developed every day of the week. And as we're doing that, we must make sure we're on best practice. When we look back at the practices, some of which you're living with, they're things which were decided upon 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. But in the mobile world today, you're deciding them. Your company is deciding them today. So what does this mean in reality? And what are some of the things that we can help do here? In the area of cloud, we look at every single part of the stack in which we deliver technology. And we've essentially, from both a product and a solution and a service perspective, we have delivered it so that all of that technology can help protect these cloud environments right now. You've got a traditional data center in New Jersey, you've got another one in California, and now you start using a number of different cloud providers. You can't spin up a whole new different infrastructure to be able to do it. So we can deliver for you identity services that help manage identities from a cloud environment and help deliver and actually deliver identity as a service in the cloud itself. Sign-on services, cloud access management services, privileged identity management of cloud environments, of leveraging and using cloud instances. We can take our security intelligence solutions and now monitor cloud environments, collect information from the cloud, deliver these instances of security intelligence in the cloud itself. What does it help you do? It helps you migrate from your existing environment into the new world while not basically ending up with two totally different ways of controlling and monitoring your environment. And as you do that, you can then begin to leverage these solutions natively living in the cloud environment from a technology perspective and from a managed services perspective that we deliver. From a mobile perspective, we have to look at every single aspect of protection and management from a mobile device. Its communication into the enterprise, its connection into the back end, and then how applications are developed on mobile platforms. And so what we are working with and what we've delivered is a mobile first protect solution based on our MAS 360 technology, rolled out across over 100,000 endpoints within IBM, tens of thousands of endpoints around the world for many clients, delivering application management, security technologies, trustier technologies built into it. We can take access from those mobile devices, control that access into your enterprise, monitor the access for risky behaviors, and then actually, which I would urge is critical, as applications are developed, with the click of a button, every single application can be tested for vulnerabilities and exposures which could bring risk to your environment. So what mobile affords you is the opportunity to relook at your whole security paradigm from soup to nuts, and to relook at how it is you're delivering security in a way that's not possible and is much more difficult with a traditional endpoint environment. In fact, one of the key announcements which we've delivered is exactly that. The ability to deliver cloud-based application security at a click of a button for mobile applications. We call it the Mobile Analyzer, totally integrated into Bluemix. Take an application, click a button, it comes back, vulnerabilities. What's one of the biggest challenges associated with application security in a traditional environment? It's training, it's getting it built into the build environment, it's trying to figure out what's wrong. We've worked very hard to simplify that, to make it hard for people not to do it. Available today. So where should we turn, and where should you turn for both your products and services going forward? This is a complicated industry. It's a very fragmented industry. It's not uncommon for us to work with customers who may have 80 different products from 50 different vendors. It's the reality of how it is you've had to procure technology, our services, to help you solve the problem. But it's also the nature in which you have procured products and services. I've always said, in this business, we'll never consolidate down to 3 vendors, 3 solution providers. We'll never end up in a situation where the problem is moving so slowly that it can be addressed by any one vendor in its entirety. It's just not possible. Integration with other vendors is key. IBM is extraordinarily committed to an open environment. We will manage other companies' security technologies. We will design them in. Our technologies and identity and Curator will integrate with other security technologies. But something will change in this business. And one of the key things which must change is we must deliver simplicity and substantially less complexity. So our commitment is to build solutions which are leaders in each of the categories in which we want to operate in. We are actually number 1 in the area of security intelligence and analytics. We're number 1 in the area of database security. We're a leader in application security. In terms of financial fraud and malware, we're number 1. Analysts rate us very highly in our managed consulting and managed services operations. Why do I say this? We want to compete, obviously, with the way you have purchased as you're looking at solutions. But over time, we can really help you have an environment where there is much more simplicity in terms of how it is you're managing your operations overall. Integration between solutions. The ability to deliver the value of a security intelligence solution. Incredible technology that can scale around the world, collect petabytes of data. The ability for us to deliver people who can deploy that for you. People who can do staff augmentation, manage it for you, or design a security operations center from soup to nuts. That is what IBM can do and what we will do in key select offerings. Identity and access management, deploying, managing, running in the cloud, and delivered as a full-blown service if you so choose. The same with threat, emergency response, the technology, the people to be able to deliver it. Will everybody want to do that at a particular point in time? Of course not. You may have skills in a particular area that are really important to you. You may have technology that's already deployed. But over time, as we continue to innovate in each and every one of these segments, and we have the opportunity to integrate between these solutions, between our solutions or other vendor solutions, our promise is to fundamentally change how it is this business is operating, to simplify how it is customers are procuring this technology. A blend of intelligence technologies, people to help deploy, people to help manage, and then a commitment across these key domains to ongoing innovation. Here are examples of some of the things which we will announce today. On the intelligence and analytics area, we're actually announcing an advanced persistent threat survival kit, which again, a services offering to help our customers understand where they are with advanced threats, and understand if they are breached, and if breached, how it is they can help solve this particular problem. Security intelligence on the cloud. We will move Curator to be delivered as a service. A new version of Apex, our advanced malware solution for endpoints. Spectacular results with Apex, delivered across anywhere from 10 to 20,000 endpoints across multiple customers in the second half of last year, catching persistent threats repeatedly which are getting past the perimeter. Not detecting, stopping. Not telling you about something, stopping. Based on intelligence and knowledge captured from monitoring 100 million banking customers. That's what Trusteer Apex is doing. Same on the cloud and mobile space. I just spoke about AppScan, Mobile Analyzer, and Dynamic Analyzer. Taking an application and automatically scanning it for vulnerabilities as soon as it's built. From a services perspective, some of your executives struggle to understand and worry about their own risks. We are announcing an executive protection service so we can help your executives understand their social exposure, their threat exposure, that of course is a big risk to their corporation. And then lastly, of course, new versions of a great innovation and great set of capabilities we brought in last year in the area of cloud identity services.
I'm Joanne Martin, IBM's Vice President of IT Risk and the Global CISO. The CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, is responsible for protecting IBM's assets and people. I share with my colleagues, CISOs in other companies, a challenge that involves new technologies. All of us are confronted by the technologies that are coming out that are enablers to the business, that are enablers to our employees, and they're challenges to us. We need to understand them, we need to figure out how to exploit them and to make them safe for all of our companies. So how are we doing that? First and foremost, we've got to increase our skill base. We've got to work with universities. We have to work within our own organizations to build our skills, to grow the capabilities, to address the problems that we have at hand. We need to focus like lasers on mobility, on social, on big data, on cloud, because each of these genres creates opportunities for the business and could open up new holes for the security to the company. And so we've got to look at those and make sure that we're approaching each one with the right amount of care. We need to collaborate with each other. Sometimes in this ecosystem, we're the supplier, sometimes we're the purchaser or the user, and we need to trust each other. We need to enable that trust with technology, with process, and with capabilities to allow a real vetting of trust among ourselves within the ecosystem. And finally, we need to understand that governments have regulations, and they vary at local levels, they vary at country levels, they vary around the world, and they focus on what each country or each region believes is important for their population relative to privacy, relative to security. And so we need to make sure that everything we're doing builds security and privacy thinking in at the design stage and doesn't wait to bolt it on at the end. Thank you.